you don't want to do 10 minutes for pizza, but if you did, and I'm always like, yeah, let's go. Let's do more comedy. That's me.
I'm like, I'll do comedy for money to buy pizza. I'm not doing comedy for no pizza.
No pizza comedy?
Hey, what's happening, Shayne? How are you?
Hanging out here on the stage, being
Good to
totally
meet
normal.
you, man.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going great. It's comedy. It's
So-
always great.
I guess we're here to talk to each other about comedy. Yeah?
Yeah. What else do you talk about?
Anything
we could do comedy or we could do problems.
anything. Well, I'm down. Those are the only two things I have in my life.
Exactly. We're comedians, man. We're related. You didn't even know.
It's true. How long have you been doing comedy?
I just celebrated 22 years. How about you?
A crafty veteran. I've been, so what it'll be, 8?
8 years?
8 years?
Yeah, veteran.
I mean, man, there's so many people I know who are 20 deep, you know?
Right.
And I'm in New York, and there's so many, and they're so good, and it's intimidating. I remember being 5 years in and being like, I've done it. I'm a comic. And then meeting other people, and they're like, oh, so you just started.
They say the same thing to me after 22 years.
Oh, my God. Do you know people who are farther in?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, one of my friends just celebrated 40 years. I'm like, 40 years? You should have some movies or something. I'm just saying.
That's so much time to do anything.
I kind of want to, like, if I've done 40 years and I've not reached where I think I should reach,
Yeah?
creatively and professionally, I'd like to be taken out to the pasture.
And just
Yeah.
Yeah?
You don't have to shoot me, just take me out to
Oh, okay. Just take you to visit.
The pasture.
I think I'm just gonna comedy till I die. So I don't know when that'll be, but I don't know. I don't really have I don't have like any goals outside of just doing it as long as humanly possible.
Really? You don't want to do acting or anything?
Well, I would like to do more stuff. Like I do act a little bit. And then of course, you know, I'd like my career to do well, but I started comedy just because I wanted to do comedy. And so I think that even if my career just like, you know, something crazy happens or, you know, you could just wake up one day and everyone's like, we don't like you anymore.
Right.
I feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
So I feel like if that happened, I still wouldn't quit. I feel like I'd just do comedy until whenever.
Right.
I'd just be one of those crazy people at open mic wearing a cape or
yeah,
whatever.
well, don't let people not like you. That's all I say. It's such an easy job. Do you find comedy easy?
You know what? I'll be honest. Yes.
Yeah.
That annoys other comics when you say that.
It's so annoying, but it annoys me when I see them on stage and they go, this is a hard job, it's hard to make people laugh. Then you should quit. As far as I'm concerned, my personal rule is there too. Be yourself and have a good time. That's what people pay me for.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm here to be myself and have a good time. That's
exactly, and that's easy. Those are two things that you have to do anyway.
Yeah, I find that the comics who say comedy is very hard are either just starting, and like, of course it's hard when you start. You don't know how to do it yet. Or they're the type of comic that does an impression of a comic. They have like a sing-songy voice.
Go ahead, say it. Joke please.
They're doing an impression of what they think a comic sounds like. They're not being themselves.
Right.
And it's like, of course you're doing bad. You're acting, pretending to be a comic instead of being a comic. Mm-hmm. You should, and they're picking up on it.
Right.
Because you've added an extra step.
Exactly.
In front of being funny, just be funny instead of, now I'm in character and now I can be funny. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
And that's not even a dig on comics who do characters, because I know so many comics that do characters that are very funny.
Yeah.
But that's their authentic self, is a guy or a woman who loves to be a character,
right.
You know?
Or a guy who loves to be a woman, because there's a lot of that going on. Have you worn a dress yet? I'm just asking. You haven't made it until you've worn a dress.
It's a good time. I suggest to everyone that they should wear dresses.
Yeah.
Get in touch.
Yeah.
What was, I like this question. They have these questions for us, and I'm skipping some of them, but this one is good. What was your worst show?
I don't think I've had it yet.
You haven't had a worse show?
I haven't had a worse show.
Do you have a least favorite show?
I do have some favorite shows. Yep.
Yeah, but not some least favorite.
Not a least favorite. They're all great. I mean, you know, you're in New York now. Have you ever done a club in Brooklyn called Footprints?
I've never done Footprints. No.
Well, if you go do that, that'll be your worst show.
Okay. I'm on the lookout. I'm on the lookout for that. I've done some casinos that were pretty bad.
Really?
Yeah, so I did I did a corporate gig at a casino, and they had this big theater, kind of like where we're gonna perform tonight right here, and it's gorgeous. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be amazing. And so the corporate happens, we do the gig in this big, beautiful theater, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. It's so fun. Mm-hmm. And corporates aren't usually that fun,
right?
But it was killer. Everyone was down, like people were jumping out of their chairs and it's crazy. It's so fun. And then the next day, we're doing a show for the casino. The casino hosted the corporate. Now the casino is hiring us personally.
Right.
So me and this guy I'm opening for, getting ready to do this job, and we're like, they say, do you want us to show you where we're going to perform? We're like, yes. And then we're like, wait, aren't we performing in the gorgeous, amazing theater you had us? And they go, no. And they take us to the food court, where it's a literal mall food court.
Oh my goodness.
And then they go, you'll be performing here using the PA system.
Wow.
And then they took a chair out of a booth and put a board so we could stand on it. And then we had to perform 360 degrees for people who were eating.
Wow.
Surprise comedy style. They weren't even there for a show. They were just food courting, and then we were there performing, and it went as badly as you think it would. It was a wireless mic, and no one could hear us. So at one point, I was just like walking around talking to people while they're eating. Yeah. It was bad. That was a rough one. So.
Yeah, I just, because of my rule, wherever I am, I'm gonna have a good time. Period.
I love it.
And if I'm having a good time, they're gonna have a good time.
Can I say, at the time in the casino, when it gets bad for me, it gets so absurd that it's funny. Mm-hmm. So I will say, like, the first 2 minutes of that set, I'm all in the dumps, and then as soon as the flip switches, or the switch flips, those words in whatever order makes sense. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, who cares? Mm-hmm. I've already lost.
Right.
Now it's time to have fun for me.
Right.
And then I'm goofing off, walking around, trying to make the guy I'm opening for laugh. Mm-hmm. Laying on tables, trying people's food.
If you had a good time, then you did your job.
Exactly. And then, and afterwards, like most gigs that are that bad, you think, well, I failed. These people hate me, but whatever. It's a funny story. And then people will come up to you afterwards and be like, that was fun.
That was fun,
and
right?
you're like, where were you? Where were you laughing? I needed you.
Yes.
But they were like, I was having fun on the inside.
Exactly.
What's your joke writing process?
I just live. That's it.
Me too. Do you ever sit and write it down?
I can't.
I don't do that either.
And when I do, if I do jot something down, trust me, it's not on me when I get to the show. I don't know where it is. It's at home. I don't know which paper I wrote it on. Or
Yeah? So you don't... So I know so many comics that are like... Do you know Gary Goldman?
Yes.
And he's always on Twitter doing the writing tips. And I'll say all of my friends who are comics are just like, it's amazing. I'm writing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't write.
Right.
And for a while, I was like, am I a bad comic?
You must be a comedian.
Am I a bad comic because I don't write? And then I was like... You
are a bad comic, but you're a good comedian.
That's one thing. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah, you're a terrible comic, but you're a great comedian.
I don't know. You're one of the only other people I've ever met that does it that way.
And when I first started, I used to run with a lot of people who had their notes and everything. And almost every time we would leave a show, one of the comedians would go, oh my God, I left my bag. I lost my jokes. I lost my book. I lost it. I was like, well, if I lose my jokes, somebody go back inside and see where I left my head. Because, I'm just going to keep them in my brain. And that's that.
Yeah. I mean, I will write I'll have an idea and then text myself or put it in
I've just started doing that.
I have 10-minute jokes that are fell down at Walmart or whatever, and that's the only line of the 10-minute joke.
Right.
So
You ever put a premise down and don't remember what you put it there
All
for?
the time.
I'm like, what was this? So it doesn't work for me.
It haunts me. There's a post-it note on my wall that just says spaghetti baby. And I'm like, what is this? I'll never take it down. I need to know.
Right.
I'm hoping one day I'll just wake up in a cold sweat and be like, oh, spaghetti baby, and I'll know. But
You probably will. That's probably how it started in the first place. I have so many jokes that, like when I just recently lost 100 pounds.
Congrats, by the way, Mazel tov. Killing it.
Thank you. But when I was really, really fat, I used to do jokes about the gym, and I'd never been to a gym, but they were hilarious. And one day I was just laying on the couch. The commercial wasn't on or anything, and I just wrote this whole bit about going to the gym and all of this stuff. It was really crazy. So I get it.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So you'd never been.
I'd never been.
And you just wrote about it, and people were like, it
was
sense.
Hilarious. It was one of my biggest bits.
Well, but it's probably coming from an authentic place, right? Because your struggles with weight and everything were all real.
Right.
And then so there's no way to know.
Yes.
Because it was coming from such a real place.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yes.
There was a time when I would write bits and I would do stuff on stage and I would say the less funny thing because it was true. Mm-hmm. And then over time I was like, be silly. Like, I'm here to be silly. Like, I'll say the sillier thing if it's not real.
Right.
Although the story's true, but there's like little things. Like, you don't have to say
those little tags.
Yeah. Get funnier.
A joke is never, ever finished. Do you agree with that?
I agree.
Never.
I do a joke up until I record it, and then often I'll do it, if you want to do it for fun later or whatever, and they change.
Yes.
I have jokes on my last Dry Bar special that are different now than when I recorded it.
Right.
And you're always just like, wow.
They're always just so funny. And sometimes I hear the jokes, the original, and I'm thinking it's going to be the way it is now, and it'll go back to the beginning. It's like, oh, it's so much funnier now. Yeah. Just adding a word, taking away a word, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
A joke is never, ever finished.
There are even times where a joke changes based on the fact that I'm having more fun telling it because it's old. You know what I mean? Like
your classics.
Yeah.
It's like an anthology. And sometimes people say, Nikki, you've been telling that joke for a certain year because there are certain jokes that people want to hear.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it and you do all new material, it's like going to a concert for someone that you've loved their music, like to a Beatles concert, and they're doing all new music that they wrote last week, and you're like, come on, where's Yellow Submarine and, Yesterday,
not Yellow Submarine.
We wanted to hear that, you know what I mean? I like that song.
You like Yellow Submarine?
Yeah. So what do you call a bad show? Nobody laughing or heckling? Or?
Bad energy.
Bad energy.
Because a heckler doesn't make a bad show. Sometimes a heckler makes the best show. Right?
Yeah.
If you engage correctly, and
not
it's
if
funny.
They heckle me. They usually leave crying.
But that's fun to me. I love that. Oh my gosh! Now I want to watch.
And I don't like people to make me go there.
Okay, yeah, I see that. I think it depends, but it's an energy thing. I've had shows where the audience is laughing, and I get off stage, and I'm like, I hated that.
Right.
But even me hating a show, it's still fun. I love comedy so much. Even my worst day is still better than my.
Well, that is true.
Day.
There have been times when I'm like, oh, I should have did this joke, or I was all over the place. My jokes were all out, but people were having such a great time, and afterwards they're all surrounding me and this thing. You were great, and I was like.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was messing up and I didn't feel it.
I thought it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. We're our own worst critics.
Yeah. And then there's an energy in the room, there's an energy in the crowd, and there's an energy on stage.
Exactly.
And a bad show is, for me personally, I would say a show is bad. In my own head, I don't think I would put that on anyone else. But if any one of those energies is off, a good show to me is when the energy is all three ways. I'm feeling good, they're feeling good, we're all feeling good together.
Right. So, what makes you want to just do comedy?
I don't see.
How'd you start? Was it a dare or?
Oh, I've making people laugh I've always been like a guy who just wanted to laugh. I was like a silly kid,
Yeah,
you know?
silly. That's the definitive word.
Yeah. I was just like wanted to have a silly time.
Yeah.
I wanted to goof off, you know? I would get in trouble. I got in trouble for making jokes at my grandma's funeral. You know what I mean? There's never been a place in my life where I haven't wanted to make a joke. I got divorced and I was like, you know, in emotional. I was emotionally destroyed, and my friends would be like trying to cheer me up, and I would make jokes about it to them, just because it was so inappropriate at the time. It's so funny. Like, jokes have just always been what I want.
Right.
You know, if I could never do stand up again, I would still be in love with jokes.
Yeah.
So.
Do you watch other comedians?
Yeah, I love other comedians.
I don't really.
Really?
I don't really like to watch other comedians.
Oh my gosh, I would like to watch.
Especially, there are a few that I'm going to watch because they're friends of mine or what have you. But other than that, I don't.
Have you always been that way, or did that happen over time?
I think it happened when I became a comedian myself.
Yeah.
I think because I used to love Rita Rudner and, you know.
Yeah.
Carol Burnett, Lucy. I mean, I watered my growth with comedy.
Yeah, of course.
You know.
But
when I got the stand-up started happening, and I liked it. It was new to me, and now sometimes I hang around a lot of comedians who like to watch.
Yeah.
Stand-up specials. So, I mean, like, if it's something that's going viral and everybody's talking about it,
you gotta,
check it out.
For the sake of the hang, you gotta be able to know, it's just like a work thing at that point.
Yeah.
So I do try to watch specials online, and I do like them, but I like to watch comedy live. So I will just go out and watch comedy still.
Right.
I still am a fan.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see you.
Well, I'm excited to see you too.
I genuinely I love comedy all the time. I'm just a big nerd for it.
Yes.
So I know so many people who are, we all do it differently, and I know a lot of people who are like that. They're just like, oh, it's been too much. I'm like burnt out.
Right.
Or I do it. So when they watch it, they have a hard time suspending the disbelief because they see the magic trick. They see where comics are going or what they're doing, and I have a really good time of just like turning that off and just watching.
Right.
I have a big dumb laugh. You'll hear. You'll hear me tonight.
I'm a bit of a nerd in a lot of ways. And that's the first thing I said when I saw you. It's like you're like a walking contradiction. It's like you were going to a library or something, and some ink people grabbed you and pulled you in and pushed you back out again. So you're like,
I get kidnapped on the way to the library. No. That's so good.
You like reading comics? You're gonna be a comic.
I do like reading comics.
I bet.
Yeah, I'm a big nerd. I
don't
know.
Very interesting. Do you talk about all these things on stage?
Yeah.
I bet you do. You have to.
Yeah.
You can't act like they're not there.
It's true. Yeah, and you have to. People are so weird. You have to address it because you'll be doing jokes and then they'll be like, "You're weird. Say it. Like say it so we know that you know." You know.
Right.
And so, yeah, I just grew up in around people where this was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a very small town in Utah, but I grew up around like people in motorcycle clubs.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of. So I grew up around crime, and then
I grew up around crime. I was born and raised in New York City. I have no tattoos though.
Yeah.
I have a couple of scars.
There you go. See, and that's good. It feels like you have a better head on your shoulders than I do.
I just had it longer. That's all.
When I was young, I bought into that stuff. I wanted my friends to respect me. I wanted to be a tough guy, but I was a nerd. Mm-hmm. You can't change who you are.
Yeah.
So, and when people think of criminals, they don't realize that it's a job. Just like comics. There's comics who aren't funny when they're not on stage, which blows my mind. But
really?
I know comics that aren't fun to hang with.
Those are comics.
Yeah, and so or that are just like weirdos, or they're very serious people. I've also known very serious actors who are very, they have contradictions. Mm-hmm. And so just because you do a job doesn't mean you're a certain way.
Right.
So when you're a criminal, just because you're a criminal, people see criminals on TV and they forget that like criminals have a good time. Criminals love their families. Criminals can be goofballs. You know, they're multifaceted people who are up to all sorts of different things. We dehumanize people who do crime, and a part of that is probably trying to be okay with how often we put them in prison.
Yeah, well,
that's a more serious conversation.
I mean, you're talking crime.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Are we meaning like felonies or misdemeanors?
We're talking about like
there's a difference.
We're talking about, but yeah, bank robbers and people who, you know, people who are on the streets.
Right.
But anyway, I was one of those people, and just because I did that doesn't mean I wasn't also playing World of Warcraft at night.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a really dorky video game. It's a really dorky video game.
It sounds like one.
But yeah, you could do both. So I am a bit of I'm all goofball now, no crime.
Right.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm getting away with a crime because comedy is just like, you're paying me to do this?
Right.
So that's fun.
Yes.
I do feel like I'm getting away with the biggest heist. Do you ever feel like that?
I do.
That's awesome.
I do. But it's still about the comedy for me because you ever did a show where maybe they canceled the show, but you still got your money, but you still feel that, oh, but I wanted to perform.
Yeah.
I wanted to perform.
When I'm on the road, I'll do a show, and then if a local comic is like, hey, I have a goofy pizza shop show, you don't want to do 10 minutes for pizza, but if you did, and I'm always like, yeah, let's go. Let's do more comedy. That's me.
I'm like, I'll do comedy for money to buy pizza. I'm not doing comedy for no pizza.
No pizza comedy? No. I am in New York. We got a lot of pizza comedy in New York.
I was born and raised there. I know about pizza in New York.
You've had your share of pizza comedy.
I sure have. All of this right here was pizza. It was a whole like pizza piece right here. Okay, so here's what I'd like to say. Wow, you did Dry Bar before? How was it?
With my album before?
You have a Dry Bar?
Yeah, I have a Dry Bar already, and it was good.
It was good? That's exciting.
Yeah, it was like I would say it's a defining moment in my career for sure.
For sure?
Yeah,
really?
I mean, since then I've had a lot of huge moments, but Dry Bar was like the first time. You know, as a comic, you're like, man, if they just put me in front of enough people, they'll see.
Right.
They'll see that I'm funny.
I'm so looking forward.
You're just like, I just don't know how to get in front of it. Just if someone could just see. And the Dry Bar was that moment for me.
Right.
And I have no expectations. And then one day I opened up my computer and people were like, we thought you were funny.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy for the opportunity to be a part of Dry Bar. I don't know how it got past me. This should have been my third, fourth one by now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm excited for
when
you.
I love something, you know, I try to stick with it, do it again and again.
Yeah, you're going to kill it.
I'm going to have a good time. I don't know what's going to happen.
I feel like this room's going to be full of people.
All I know is be yourself, have a good time.
You're going to do a bunch of comedy and you're going to slay these people.
Okay.
And I'm going to watch. You're going to hear my big goofy laugh.
You're going to hear my big goofy laugh.
I'm a big one.
I give it up. I bring it from here.
All right. This is one of my favorite questions to ask other comics, and it's on the paper, so I have to ask it before we go.
Okay.
What are your favorite comedians? Who inspires you? Who are comics that you're like, this is a comic right here? Like who, and you say you don't like to watch as much, but like who was the guy, the lady, who are the comics?
Well, let me say this. I did a TV show. A guy made me a T-shirt.
Uh-huh.
He put on the T-shirt, my inspiration. He put all these, like Bernie Mac and Rich Pryor, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
I said, I cannot wear this T-shirt.
Yeah.
I said, though I do respect those comedians for their contribution and their genius, I don't feel like they are who fed me to be who I am.
Yeah.
I feel it was Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett, Danny Kaye, Jerry Lewis, those comedians like that. And they weren't even doing stand-up.
Yeah.
It was comedic acting, and that was pretty much what I love, so.
That's such a good answer.
But right now, I love Ellen. I love the way Ellen can give life to an inanimate object and make it so hilarious and off the wall. Like, why didn't I think of that? That was brilliant, and stuff like that. So I like intelligent comedy.
Yeah.
That's
I love
what I
that
like.
answer.
So I
Lucille
don't
Ball.
really have a favorite. They're just good.
But those people like feed your fire. Like
They fed my fire.
I love that.
And my mother would come and look over my shoulder and be like, look how silly these people act. But to me,
I love that.
they were my world. The crazier they were, the more I loved them.
When people ask me, I have a similar answer. It's the Muppets.
The Muppets. At least my
Muppets.
people are real. I'm just
No,
kidding. They're real
the
too.
Muppets. I love. I think they're
Popeye.
they're a huge comedic influence on me. Like no joke. Just the Muppet Show. As a kid, I used to like write fake episodes of the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
I love everything the Muppets do. Jackie Chan, he's the Charlie Chaplin of the modern era.
Right.
He had so much physical comedy. As a kid, like he was huge for me. I read his documentary, or not a documentary, his biography. I can read everybody, and so
You can really read.
I love, So, but I mean, and there are a lot of stand-ups. Bernie and Chappelle are huge. Like everything they've ever done, I've watched a million times.
Yes.
Bernie Mac, I Ain't Scared of You.
Yeah.
I love that.
I never saw it.
He's the best. And then, there's of course modern comics today that I really look up to. I look up to a ton of my friends, and then I look up to people who are like, unattainable to me, like Mulaney. He's great. So, but I mean, I love so many comics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's hard to just pick one out or,
Yeah.
It's
But
hard to
that's
do
it.
that.
That's a good problem to have, right? It's just
It is a
everyone's
very
so
good
great.
problem to have. And then when people ask my fans, I hope they would say me. I know my kids don't say me. They don't. They say anybody, Kevin Hart, Bernie Mac. I was like, well, I know Kevin Hart and I look like Bernie Mac? No. Dry bar comedy.
Well, it was good talking to you.
It was great.
Good luck tonight.
I thank them also for this conversation with you.
Yeah.
It's just been all good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited.